get on the internet and they meet other folks of the same interests. And one of the interesting phenomena about Twilight is how far along the Twilight Moms have taken this. They're just a wonderful group. They've been supportive of our conventions around the country so far. We love having them come up on stage and tell you guys how to get more involved in fandom. Representing the Twilight Moms today, we have the moderator of our panel. Please welcome Tammy from the Twilight Moms. Come on up here, Tammy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Are you having a good time so far? Me too. I'm going to have the rest of the ladies come out and join us, and then we'll get started. Could we have Val come out, please? And Lori, Tara, Ness, Jen, Julia, and Erin. Okay, I have a few questions for you from the creator of TwilightMoms.com, Lisa Hansen. And then I'll ask these lovely ladies up here to answer a few questions for us. Did you think you were the only one whose life was turned upside down when you read Twilight? Is your house a disaster with piles and piles of laundry in every corner and stacks of dirty dishes at record-breaking heights? Have you imagined your husband is a vampire or a werewolf and suddenly have the libido of a newlywed again? Do you convince yourself that cold cereal makes a perfectly wholesome dinner? Is the pizza delivery boy now on your Christmas card list? Are your children free to run amok as long as no one comes to you bleeding too badly? Oh, you feel guilty. But that's not enough. You still can't tear yourself away from the book, and damned be the consequences. The good news is you are not alone. Fans of the Twilight series in outer stage of life, whether you're a mom or not, now have a place where we can gather unashamed of our irrational obsession with vampires and werewolves. We have a place where our kind can relate without having to wade through all the teenage internet mumbo jumbo like OMG, IMHO, Edward is so hot. Usually a definite way that you should be working on your social studies homework instead of on the internet. FYI, it was a group of 14 and 15-year-olds that changed. However, our world of balancing family, work, home, marriage, and our Twilight obsession is unique, fun, and oh so very humorous. The personal stories and experiences I've heard and read from women all over the world are a blast. You ladies rock. And Twilight Moms is dedicated to you. Enjoy this little corner of the internet that is just for us. Let's hear it for Twilight Moms. Okay, now it's time to hear from the Twilight Moms here on the panel. The overall theme for this panel is how Twilight has changed your life. I'm going to start with Val. Val, how did your Twilight obsession start?
My obsession began March 15th, 2008. That was the day that I found Twilight. After Harry Potter, I never thought I would have another book obsession. Little did I know I was wrong. I had heard of the series, even read the book cover, but wasn't interested in a teen vampire story until I heard Robert Pattinson was going to be the lead in a new movie. I had been drawn to him as Cedric and remembered watching and saying, "Who is that guy?" I was thrilled that he was going to be in another movie. I picked up the Twilight book a few days later. That night I began reading obsessively and couldn't put it down. I was sucked into the story the moment Bella first saw Edward. Stephanie had created such interesting characters and I began to fall in love with all of them, especially Edward, totally Team Edward. He was the most fascinating. His internal struggle of life as a vampire, believing he was a monster, the desire to be with Bella when he knew it was wrong and illogical, and the love that was blossoming between them immersed me as I turned each page. I stayed up late at night, took the book to work to read during lunch, and got my daughter to bed early each evening so that I could be with Edward. Within 3 days, I had the I literally ran out and got new mini clips and devoured them in another few days. I couldn't understand why I couldn't stop thinking about these characters. Why was a 30-something wife and mother thinking about vampires, teen love, and what was going to happen to Edward and Bella, especially since Breaking Dawn had yet to come out? I had to find someone else to be able to talk to about these books. After Googling moms that love Twilight, I found Twilight Moms and relief was finally found. My screen name is Val. I know it's not very original, but I was dying to find people my age to be able to talk about it. Finally, I had found others just like me.
Next, we'll hear from Lori. Why are older women attracted to Twilight?
First of all, the most obvious reason I can think of is because Stephenie Meyer herself is such an inspiration to us. After all, just a few short years ago, she was a full-time mom and homemaker who basically put her goals and aspirations as a writer on hold in order to spend her time raising her family and taking care of her home. With all the worries that come along with taking care of a household and the economy we face today, Twilight allows us older women to escape briefly from our everyday routines of working and taking care of others, and by immersing ourselves in a story that takes us back to that thrill of being young and hopelessly in love for the first time. Twilight encompasses many different kinds of love, including the romantic love that exists between couples and the unconditional love a parent feels for their child, both of which many of us older women have experienced. Twilight also touches on a different kind of love, if not within the actual storyline, then within the passion that Stephenie Meyer put into writing it. Twilight has been the motivation for myself and for many of the wonderful Twilight moms I have the pleasure of getting to know, to rediscover a love of ourselves and who we are, and to not feel guilty for taking the time to do something that fulfills us. Doing something you enjoy recharges your battery. Whether it's something athletic, something artistic, or just something quiet and peaceful like reading Twilight. Basically, I feel that we older women are attracted to Twilight because it helps us reconnect with our youthfulness, and that's a very good thing. My screen name is Purple Rain.
Thank you, Laura. Next, we'll hear